Boxing is an exciting sport to watch. There are so many elements to it. The rivalries, the stories, and the fighting itself all make the sport enthralling. Of all the ways a boxer can win a match, knockouts are some of the most talked about. They're also one of the most exciting aspects of boxing. Witnessing a knockout in boxing, or any combat sport for that matter, is huge. They're often seen as a goal for fighters. They require technicality, speed, precision, and strength. Knockouts are usually a clear sign that the fight is over and somebody has won. They're often seen as a sign of one fighter's domination over another. In some cases, they can signal the start of a promising fighter's career. They can also signal the opposite and be career killers for professional fighters. That's what we'll focus on as we look at the most epic career-ending knockouts in boxing history. The first entry on our list is the bout between Mike Tyson and Michael Spinks. The fight lasted a total of 92 seconds and had events leading up to it that culminated in one of the most memorable knockouts in boxing history. Prior to the fight, Spinks' manager's assistant noticed a bump on Tyson's glove. The belief was that it could harm Spinks in the ring. Butch Lewis, Spinks' manager, decided to call that out and potentially get under Tyson's skin. This was a mistake. At the time, Tyson was a 22-year-old beast who had previously punished opponents in the ring. And Tyson was hungry for this win too. Although he had built a reputation, Spinks had won the light heavyweight and heavyweight titles. Tyson wanted to put an end to arguments and show that he was on top. Spinks' trainer, Eddie Futch, anticipated that Tyson would try to knock him out. He banked on Spinks being able to evade a knockout hit. Tyson's speed and precision were overwhelming, and with months of pent-up rage from issues in his personal life, Tyson was a monster. He dropped Spinks for the first time in his career, shocking the boxer. When he tried to match Tyson's aggression, he received the perfect punch, the one that got him his first knockout and loss in his whole professional career. The fight, meant to unify the heavyweight crown, gave Tyson the title. The epic knockout led to Spinks announcing his retirement a month later. 30 years after his last match, the former champ had a celebration thrown for him, recognizing his talent. Spinks reflected on the fight and his career, saying that he had no regrets. He did, and went as far as he could. In the end, he thought that was enough. It's good to know that although he never went back, he was content with his professional career. He got a $13.5 million paycheck for the fight, enough for a good retirement. That sounds like a pretty good deal for receiving one of the biggest career-ending knockouts in boxing history. Coming in at number 2 on the list is Leotis Martin knocking out the former heavyweight champ Sonny Liston in 1969. Before the professional match that ended Liston's career, the two boxers were sparring partners. The stage was set for the winner to be the heavyweight champion of the newly formed North American Boxing Federation. Despite being a former National Golden Gloves and AAU middleweight champion, Martin was perceived to be the underdog. Liston was on a 14-win streak. Although he hadn't taken on any big names, he established himself as one of the hardest hitters. Liston also outweighed Martin by 21 pounds. After 8 rounds, Liston led by 2 points on one scorecard and 3 on another. Then, in the 9th round, Martin delivered a set of 3 combinations to a tired Liston, knocking him out face first onto the mat. The knockout had many questioning if Liston was losing steam and getting too old to fight. He would return to the ring again 6 months later. Although he beat his opponent, Chuck Wepner, the Bay One Bleeder, that ended up being his last fight. Shortly after that, Liston's wife returned home from a holiday and found the former champ dead. The coroner's report said that he died from congestive heart failure. Had he lived, it is uncertain whether he would have continued fighting after his match with Wepner. But that knockout by Martin, his former sparring partner, marked the end of Liston's accomplished career. The next career-ending knockout on this list occurred in the bout between Manny Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton. All it took was a perfectly timed straight left hand. The actual fight between Pacquiao and Hatton lasted 2 rounds. Leading up to this fight, Hatton won 2 fights after a loss against Floyd Mayweather. On the other hand, Pacquiao hadn't fought since he retired Oscar De La Hoya the year before. There wasn't a major title on the line, but the winner would receive the 2009 Junior Welterweight Championship title. Although there wasn't a major title for the winner, they both went in swinging. Pacquiao dropped Hatton twice to the floor in the first round. The first time was with a right hook. The second was with a left hand. After that, Hatton changed his approach, getting more aggressive in the ring. He tried to rush the Filipino fighter. A few seconds before the end of the round, Pacquiao countered with another rush attempt with a straight left hand. That allowed him to retain his title as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. For Hatton, the knockout ended his career. The British boxer later opened up about the experience. He admitted that he spiraled into depression afterwards. At his very lowest points, he considered taking his own life. The former fighter struggled with alcoholism after, sometimes blacking out. He admitted that he felt like a failure losing to both Mayweather and Pacquiao. In 2012, he came out of retirement to enter the ring once more, hoping to make a comeback. But a loss to Vyacheslav Senchenko put him back in retirement. While many can point to the 2012 fight as his last straw, ultimately, it was the knockout against Pacquiao that ended his career. It seems that he was just never able to recover after that. Finally, our list of epic knockouts concludes with the second bout between Roy Jones Jr. and Antonio Tarver. Clearly, the two fighters had some history in the ring. In 1988, Jones came onto the scene and earned a name for himself as one of the best in the world. By the time the pair had first fought, Jones had created this image of himself as an invincible fighter, a legend in the ring. He had also begun to amass critics. Antonio Tarver had something of a rivalry with Jones that started when they were 13-year-olds. In their first pro fight as adults, Roy had a lot working against him. He had to cut down to make weight for the fight, starving and overworking himself in the process. He also had dental work that aggravated him. Tarver was on the rise as the second-best light heavyweight in the world, second only to Jones. Their first bout in 2003 was decided in Jones's favor by the judges. This set the stage for the second fight, which took place a year later. There, before the fight, Tarver asked Jones if he had any excuses. In the second round of their second match, Tarver landed a solid punch and gave Jones his first ever knockout. Jones no longer had that image of being unstoppable. Although he continued to box years after that knockout, his career wasn't the same. He didn't draw the same excitement he previously had. Even though he went on to have more wins and losses, Roy Jones Jr.'s career, as he knew it, had ended, all because of a knockout from a longtime rival. The rivalry, build-up, and aftermath are what make that knockout one of the most epic knockouts in boxing history. As one can see, knockouts are a huge deal in boxing. They are arguably the most exciting finish to a match. Many signal a certain shift for fighters. At their worst, they can end whole careers. While it's unfortunate to see, it's also epic that a knockout can be so catastrophic. That is why so many fighters predict and make it their goal to knock out their opponents. It ultimately helps with the narrative and elevates the trash talk. These have been the most epic career-ending knockouts in boxing history.